That's the gamer mentality. How vibes, Dave?
How vibes, Dave? Okay, we are live for Astro Rewind.
Woo!
Today's video is Simplify and Be Present. And anyone wants to leave any questions in the chats throughout the video, we'll try to respond at the end. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah.
For the
Vibes, Astro?
Hey, how vibes, brother? You set up here, so making sure that the technical things are going right. Not being as yeah, okay, we're just gonna roll with it.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Astro Solsin from reprogramthematrix.com. Welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I wanted to go ahead and share some information on simplifying things on your spiritual path, because a lot of people make things very difficult for themselves and they make it a lot harder when they don't really need to. Life is very simple, but when our mind gets in the way, it complicates things, right? And sometimes we also want to take on, everything. We want to do everything all at once. And this also has to do with patience as well, because if you know something is going to take a while, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work on it, then you'll have the patience and you'll do what's required, but you won't do too much, because some people on their spiritual path, they want to start doing all of the spiritual disciplines. They're journaling, they're scripting, they're meditating, they're doing some type of energy work, they're doing altar work, and they're trying to fit all of this stuff in, and more than that, all in one day, and they're like, man, my spiritual disciplines take up 5 hours in the day. It doesn't need to be that way. You don't have to make your life so difficult. So if you're that type of person where you're trying to take everything at once, and you end up burning yourself out, know that there's no need to do that. A lot of people that have mastered things in this matrix system, they worked on it a little bit every single day. You know, and of course, there's some people that take it a bit further and they work on it a little bit more, but they have to learn over time not to cause themselves any type of stress or any type of burnout, that leads to a dip, that leads them into not doing it at all. So it's better to do a little bit a day than to do a whole bunch in like a week, and then you take a whole three.
Yeah, so what I wanted what I wanted to talk about when he first talked about patience, and also not only that, but the ego identifier that a lot of times this type of energy goes with is your pride, because you are always trying to be like, oh, I need to do this, this, and this. So why is it that you're even trying to do it in the first place? And a lot of times it's because you're starting to compare yourself to other people. You want to be better than other people. And while you may not consciously think this could be a subconscious program that is actually running on your mind, and it causes you to actually stagnate on your path. And something that I've been doing to kind of simplify things and actually slow things down so that I can be more present is taking time for myself first to relax, taking time for myself first to really ground myself in that present moment without all of the things that I need to do. So, even getting organized and making sure that you have enough time to even have that time where you can take the time for yourself versus doing everything all at once and do 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 is going to actually help you do these things a lot more efficiently than if you were to, like Asha said, just do it all every single day and burn yourself out. Yeah.
Yeah, and like one of the goals of some of the practices can be to be more present.
Yeah.
And if you're not taking that time and being patient, you're going to be going through the practices like you're trying to be not present. You're not going to be able to be present within your practices if you're rushing things. So taking the time to then become grounded and present will then allow you to actually get more out of the practices, actually be more effective with them, not just do them for their own sake, but do them for the purpose that they provide.
3 weeks off. A little bit a day will get you along the way, okay? So learn how to simplify things. And this doesn't just, go for your spiritual disciplines. This goes all across life. The more you make life simple, the easier it becomes. You don't want to make life more difficult than what it is. And, with our minds involved, part of the problem is that, we can make things more difficult because we'll look into the past, right? Our memories. Then we'll also look into the future, our imagination, right? And that's not in the present moment. It's not that it's a bad thing ever to look into the past or look into the future, but when you're spending so much time on those things, you're really just spending a lot of time in your mind, you see? So if you're always thinking about the past, guess what? You're always in your mind. If you're always thinking about the future, you're always in your mind. Because I know some people, they don't get so caught up and hung up on the past, but then they get caught up and hung up on the future. They're always worried about, what they're going to do, how they're going to make this money, how they're going to do this and that. When really all that is saying is that you're in your mind. I'm going to turn this air down a little bit. I don't know if it's too loud in the camera or whatnot, but it is hot here in Arizona. But you want to make sure that you simplify things by being in the present moment. And when you are present, in the very moment that, you're present, you basically simplify things. It's just like if you've ever watched an animal and you observe them, their life is very simple. They don't take on all these unnecessary things. They don't bring too much activities into their life that they're trying to accomplish. We as humans do that. Why? Because we think about the past and the future way more than any of these other species here, right? Like, if I observe my cats are just living very simple. In fact, they don't even really talk that much, They might do some body movements, do a few little things, but they keep it very simplistic, and it makes life easy for them, We start making everything.
So yeah, one thing I wanted to clarify, because I'm not sure if he goes into it later, but it's not that he's saying to not ever use that aspect of your mind of the past or future, because with the future it can give you certain directions, and you can actually create certain directions aligned with your spirit so that you can head that way. But what he's kind of saying is when you get overactive in the future or overactive in the past is when you start to tap into the mind. And when you're in your mind, you can also get manipulated by your ego. So when he's talking about the future, you got to remember that if you are not also present while you're in the future, then you're going to start to create all these scenarios and all these different ideas that don't necessarily need to be made within your reality that will actually cause you to stagnate on your path and not do what you need to do in the present moment. Because a lot of people, when they get too caught up in the future, they stop doing what they need to do in the present that will actually manifest the right future for the spirit, which is reprogram the matrix. But I don't know if you wanted to touch on that.
No.
Okay.
Difficult because of our mind, and because of that we get stressed out, we get depressed, we get anxious, we get paranoid, we get all of these different things that are attacking us, essentially because we are attacking ourselves by tuning so much into the mind. So if you want to make your life easier, you have to get out of your mind. Your mind is your complicator.
If you manage a team, you
Oh my goodness.
Your mind is essentially what destroys a lot of people's lives. And it's not that your mind is your enemy. Your mind could be your best friend. However, if you, it's almost like if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody or you ever had a friendship with somebody and, you spend too much time with them, like you're spending all, every single day, every single hour, every single minute. At first it's great. But then after a few weeks, you're like, man, I need some time to myself. I need a break. I've been around this person. I need some space for myself, you know? Of course, if you're around somebody that you really love, it might take a bit longer for that to happen, or it may not even happen at all if you guys are really, sharing that world together. Your electromagnetic fields are becoming one. But even then, sometimes you need that break. Sometimes the tension will rise up because you don't have some alone time. It's not bad to have alone time. It's not bad to isolate yourself sometimes. It's only bad when you're fully isolating yourself all of the time, because there's a lot of problems that come with that, but this video isn't really about that. But what you just have to realize is that the mind is creating all of these complications. It's creating all these things. You're always thinking like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Tomorrow I need to do this. I need to start working towards that. I need to reach this goal. I need to do that. Imagine if your cat was thinking that way, or your pet dog, or whatever type of pet, or any of the animals that you observe out of nature. Imagine if you seen them doing that. They would start turning into us.
One kind of code I got from that was, it's like you have a relationship with your mind. You aren't your mind, and sometimes you need some alone time away from your mind. Sometimes, your mind can be trying to be controlling in the relationship. Sometimes your mind can be having one perspective on things when, you want to have a different perspective. So like there is that need for a little separation and alone time to see, hey, I'm not my mind. That's part of what meditation is for. So like there's other aspects of like your own relationship with your mind, whereas if you're in a good loving relationship with your mind, then maybe you don't need so much alone time. Maybe you're flowing with your mind. And but if like you're feeling like your mind is giving you a lot of stuff that's not that good for you right now, then maybe you need a more alone time from your mind.
Yeah.
We would see our cats building little houses, starting businesses, all this type of stuff. It would be a crazy world, right? If all of the animals, all of the insects and everything in this matrix system all had a mind like us. So essentially, you have to be able to tune out of the mind and become present. I remember watching the movie The Peaceful Warrior. I definitely recommend that if you haven't seen it. It's a really good movie, a lot of codes in it. Also shows you the relationship between, basically a student and the MC, or, a disciple and the MC. And there's this one scene where basically, this older guy that's in the movie and this younger guy, and the older guy, he's like, the master teacher and stuff, the master coder, and he's basically, showing him the way, showing him how to, one, simplify things and how to be present. And there's this one scene where they're kind of, they're meeting together and they're walking over this little tiny bridge that, is covering this little stream. And the older man throws the younger guy over, the bridge into the water. And the young guy, he gets out the water. He's all soaking wet. He's pissed off. He's stomping his feet up to him like, "Hey, what are you doing? Why did you do that?" And the old man's like, "Hey, when you were falling into that water, what were you thinking about?" And the guy's like, "I don't know," and he's like, "You were present. You were right there in that moment. You weren't thinking about anything." If that's ever happened to you in a certain situation, like maybe, you were outside somewhere at school and people were playing football, and the football starts flying towards you, even though you weren't even playing football, you go ahead and duck, you don't even think about it.
And this is the type of stuff that will actually happen if you're too in your mind and you're not really realizing that you're in your mind. You're kind of going with the illusions and you're going with the lies that your mind is telling you. Sometimes spirit will bring in what MC was talking about with the Peaceful Warrior video. It's technically like a mini explosion within your life to cause you to actually be present. because a lot of people sometimes they think the tension within their lives, they think the turmoil or the negative things that happen within their lives are like an act of this bad and evil thing, when really it's just trying to get you to focus on the present moment, focus on who you truly are, which is in the present moment. And these things can really only be navigated in the present moment. And there are some things that you'll be able to navigate within your own reality by just going with the flow, but sometimes that's not the case. And when that's not the case, the best way to navigate these things, the best way to navigate, the stresses of not having money, or the stresses of feeling like you're alone when really you're never alone, is by being present. That's how you get connected to the spirit, because that's where the spirit is. Spirit will talk to you in the present moment. And a lot of people, they tend to look outside of themselves for, the comfort and stuff, which is why they can't accept these little mini explosions or these little mini present moment pushes, um, which causes them to stagnate off their path. But if they actually take the time to humble themselves and be present, they will see that spirit is really just showing them that it cares for them enough to get them into the present moment, which is what the MC does, which is what is in The Peaceful Warrior and also in Karate Kid. If you haven't seen those two movies.
That's how life's supposed to be. We're not supposed to be overthinking about everything and overcomplicating everything. When life throws something our way, we just move around it. We just move and do what needs to be done. But we try to sit there and think about it too much and analyze it and do this and that. And of course, there is room for that. I'm not saying that you should never be thinking, you should never look into the past or anything like that. I'm just saying we do it way too much. And if we simplify things in our life, we can start to understand, that process that's taking place when we complicate things. And we also can see, when we simplify things, how our mind, basically tries to reconstruct things and make it more difficult for us. So sometimes your life is more difficult because of you. It has nothing to do with anything outside of yourself. It's because you don't have, kind of this grip on your own mind. You don't know how to, tune it out. There's this part of our mind called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. And when that part of the mind gets activated, it actually starts to block out, that intuitive, flow. So think of it like that. When you're living life, when you're in that flow, you're not worried about anything. You're not, worried about the future. You're not caught up on the past. You're just in that flow. But soon as that the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex starts activating, boom, all this other stuff starts to go on. And essentially, it's up to you to be able to fix this. Nobody else can fix this for you. So I would say the thing that you need to do, one, is just simplify things. Yes, do what you need to do, but simplify it. And that will start to break away some of that chatter in your mind. Because when you have too much going on in your life, and you got to do this and you got to do that and this and that and that and this, and some of the things aren't even required. You're just taking too much upon yourself, in your daily activities and in your life and the things you need to do. It starts to mess with you a lot. It starts to bring you down. It starts to stress you out and things like that. So you have to be able to let all of that stuff go and be present, be in the moment, so that you can simplify things and you don't have this, complicated and difficult life that, it doesn't need to be that way. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video at that. Just try to simplify your life, do what's required, but you don't have to do more than that. I know sometimes we have, like jobs and things like that, and we want to go the extra mile and go over the top. And if it's not something that's really in our heart, we don't necessarily have to do that. We don't have to, pressure ourselves, because, there's pressure from the outside. There's that peer pressure. Your peers are pressuring you, or it's that pure pressure. It's very pure. It's in its purest form. You don't have to do any of that. So take it upon yourself to simplify things, make things easy. Don't make things complicated when they don't have to be. Of course, sometimes life will throw some complications your way, but you don't have to be throwing it your way all the time as well. So make things simple, make things easy, become present, be in the now, and let go of all the stuff that doesn't matter. So peace in and out with love, my highest vibrations, and always my gratitude. Hey.
Yeah.
Haha. How do you do?
Here, I've got him up
Oh,
here.
you got it. Oh, cool. Vibes.
High five.
He had the little dab thing. We still live?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We are definitely live.
Yeah, one thing I did want to add to the video was if you haven't or if you already have it, the ego identifier ebook, because the way the ego has been programmed, it uses the ego identifiers to get you into the past or to get you into the future. Not to say that you can't use your ego in the present moment when you're operating from spirit, but this will actually help you identify the different ego identifiers that are actually getting you out of the present moment, making things way more complicated than they need to be. Because, for example, like somebody who has like a closet full of clothes, right? They may be dealing with the pride energy, which actually gets them to constantly think about all these clothes that they need to get to impress people that they don't even really want to impress. So this is just an example. Obviously, there's going to be more examples. There's more examples in the ebook as well, and it actually goes into a little bit about Christian theology and then also different aspects of the mind as well. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I don't think so.
Hot vibes.
High vibes.
Ooh. In and out.